Hello my friends, this is Tsuki Hawke right here, and I'm going to be showing you my deck list for my Cauldron Burn version 1. I run two versions of this deck, and this is obviously one of my main decks that you do see on my channel quite often. So let's get right into it. Obviously, first up with your monsters, you're going to see 3 volumes of Marshmallon. This is a great defense monster, cannot be destroyed by battle, and obviously flipping it face up when being attacked takes that 1000 points of damage. Great in a pinch, especially late on in the game, and obviously having that extra defense and not being able to be destroyed obviously gives you that extra stall. Next up we have 3 copies of Reflect Bounder. This is a great in terms of obviously reflecting attack damage, providing obviously they don't know what they're doing. Some people don't tend to read or they don't mind attacking it, but obviously inflicting battle damage equal to the opponent's attacking monster really comes in handy with doing some chunky life points damage. And that's the only 6 monsters I run with this deck. It's not an attacking deck, this is a burn stall deck. So obviously I don't tend to have high powered monsters, this is more you're going to attack me or you're going to get hurt doing it. Next up, 2 copies of Raigeki. Self-explanatory, get rid of that front row. You need this in your deck regardless, I believe. 2 copies of Sword of Revealing Light, great for obviously stalling this, stalling for 3 turns, allowing you to build up your defences. And this is running in conjunction with 2 copies of Nightmare Steel Cage. Again, another stalling for 2 turns. And the conjunction, the caveat to Nightmare Steel Cage, obviously, is that you can't attack for 2 turns as well. However, because this isn't an attacking deck, I really don't mind not being able to attack for 2 turns, because it is rare I will attack. So, having that extra 4 turns in your back pocket, as well as 6 from swords, providing they run the full amount, comes in handy with stalling them whilst you apply your burn cards, as it were. 1 copy, because you can only have 1 copy of Harpie Feather Duster, a very important card to get rid of the back wall, as well as it's a very important card to most decks. 2 copies, as you can only have 2 copies, of Pot of Duality. Great in activating the top 3 cards and allowing that extra draw power, just in case you can find a Marshmallon if you need the defense, a Swords or Nightmare Steel Cage for the stalling, or even if you're managing to pull your extra burns like your Chain Energy. 2 copies of Toll, great for that 500 life points damage, providing obviously you've got good defense down or you can store for long enough. That extra 500, it does make the difference in the long run. 3 copies of Chain Energy. This is the meat and potatoes of this deck, especially if you can get 2 out early on, or even if you're lucky and draw your 3. Providing they remove that within the first card, that's 1,500 life points already gone. So getting this Chain Energy down early on is very vital and can cause some major damage. 1 copy of Dark Room of Nightmare. Now, I did run more in this deck because that extra 300 does supplement very well. However, it doesn't obviously work in conjunction with the likes of Chain Energy. It does work with Cauldron, but obviously depending on what you're drawing early on, it's going to make the difference if not. And I found as I've gone on with this deck, it's become less and less viable, although I've kept 1 copy just in case. As if I'm running if I'm running Cauldron, I can have that extra 300, providing I get it early on. And going on to Cauldron, 3 copies of Cauldron of the Old Man, hence the name of the deck. Obviously this is a great card in terms of giving yourself life points or inflicting burn damage, depending on how long you can keep it on the field. And having 3 copies gives you the extra chance of having more copies on the field, or building up the tokens to give you extra life points in a pinch, or dealing more damage in terms of inflicting. 1 copy of Scapegoat, because you need an extra defense. If you've not got that many monsters and you're not drawing your steel cages or your swords, having a Scapegoat come out quite early or any time in the battle, or in a duel I should say, obviously having that 4 tokens comes in handy, providing they don't have a board wipe ready for you. 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Again, like Harpie's Feather Duster, they're very handy to have in terms of destroying spells and traps. So if you're running into a deck that runs a lot of back wall stuff, as well as field energy cards, field spell cards rather, obviously being able to remove them comes in handy. 2 copies of Poison of the Old Man, great for that boost of life points when you need it in a pinch, or inflicting 800 damage to your opponent, and that's 1600 in total if you're drawing both, or having that 2400 life points regain, very handy in a pinch. Obviously if you're running that in conjunction with Cauldron of the Old Man, you can get a lot of life points back, or it's an extra bit of damage you can inflict. 2 copies of Waboku for the trap cards. A great stalling 1 turn card where you take no damage, no harm, no foul. Running 2 because you don't need too many if you're being able to run other things like Sword to Reveal Light or Steel Cage. 2 copies of Ring of Destruction. Now you do take life point damage as well, however this is a burn stall, so you want the burn damage, and if you're able to run Poison or Cauldron, obviously you can supplement some of their life points back, but it's a great way of removing one of their cards as well as inflicting some damage. 3 copies of Magic Cylinder. This card says it all, it's been around for eons. Negating their attack as well as inflicting the damage back. If you're facing something, especially like a Blue Eyes deck and they're hitting you with Blue Eyes White Dragon, that's 3000 points right back at them and saving you 3000. Running that in conjunction with Magical Cylinders comes in handy. Obviously being able to draw one from your deck or your graveyard in order to prepare yourself for the battle phase comes in handy, as well as the the extra effect of being able to banish this card from your graveyard and doubling that damage back. So like I said, if a Blue Eyes is hitting you, that's 6000 damage right back, and that can turn the game around easily, if not pick it up for the win. 2 copies of Blazing Mirror Force, a great board wipe as well as inflicting the battle damage to your opponent. Obviously you get it back, but if you're burning and stalling, you don't mind taking the hits, because if you're able to, like I said, the poison and the Cauldron coming in, you can supplement those life points back. And finally, Tall Height. This is great in terms of removing their hand, therefore being able to survive more attacks. If you're playing a deck that tends to use a lot of the hands and has very little cards back in there, it means obviously you're surviving more attacks that are coming your way. And you only need 2 copies, because obviously if you can get them early on, this is great. If you're getting them late on but able to survive and increase your tokens for your Cauldron, obviously stalling them for as long as you can comes in handy. And if they are out of hand and they're only drawing 1 card per turn, that means they can only attack you providing they use that card, don't use that card. But if they do use that card, it means they don't attack you, so it's a very handy card to have in this deck. That is the quick rundown of Cauldron Burn version 1. I hope you enjoy it. This is one of my fun main decks that I tend to use, and you will see from videos on my channel and my Twitch streams, this is my go-to. So I hope you enjoy it, and for now, you take care.